our regular city council meeting into session. It is Monday, April 15th. We're at 465 South Main Street here in Jasper. I want to welcome everyone here this evening. It's a short agenda, but an important agenda. Hazel, could I ask you to give our opening prayer?
Certainly. Thank you. Our Heavenly Father, we ask your blessing on this meeting and all those present. We pray for courage to stand up for our community and to live with grace and dignity in our city. Guide us, dear Father, in our decisions and actions, that we might fulfill your purpose and give honor and glory to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I want to welcome everyone here this evening. The first thing that we have is a proclamation for child abuse awareness and prevention. And I'm going to, we have some representatives here from...
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to read it's fairly lengthy, but I think it's important.
Thank you.
I was really flabbergasted at the flags that are on the courthouse that were discussed last week. It was 200 and some odd children, I believe it was.
211.
That we killed last year. It's unbelievable. Whereas in federal fiscal year 2018, the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services confirmed 66,382 victims of child abuse or neglect, including 114 in Jasper County. Child abuse and neglect is a serious problem affecting every segment of our community, and finding solutions requires input and action from everyone in our community. Our children are our most valuable resources and will shape the future of Texas. Child abuse can have long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effects that can have lifelong consequences for victims of abuse. Protective factors are conditions that reduce or eliminate risk and promote the social, emotional, and developmental well-being of children. Effective child abuse prevention activities succeed because of the meaningful connections and partnerships created between child welfare, education, health, community, and faith-based organizations, businesses, and law enforcement agencies. And whereas communities must make every effort to promote programs and activities that benefit children and their families, we acknowledge that we must work together as a community to increase awareness about child abuse and contribute to promote the social and emotional well-being of children and families in a safe, stable, nurturing environment. Prevention remains the best defense for our children and families. The impact of abuse and neglect has long-term personal, economic, and social cost. Therefore, hurting Texas's future. Court-appointed special advocates, CASA volunteers, are assigned by the court to speak up for a child's best interest and be a voice for a child in the courts. Every child in care deserves a CASA volunteer, but roughly less than half the children in care do not have a CASA volunteer. And whereas 10,424 CASA volunteers spoke up for the best interest of 29,747 children in Texas last year. CASA of the Sabine-Neches region, Child Protective Services, Child Advocacy Centers, foster parents, teachers, and others work to ensure that children in our community have the opportunity to grow up in safe, loving, permanent homes. Now, therefore, I, Gary Gatlin, Mayor of the City of Jasper, Texas, do hereby proclaim April 2019 as National Child Abuse Prevention Month in the City of Jasper, Texas, and urge all citizens to recognize this month by dedicating ourselves to the task of improving the quality of life for all children and families. Come forward.
Do I need to go to the microphone or?
Wherever you're most comfortable.
I think I can be loud enough. Thank you, Mayor and Council. So I would like to tell you a little bit about our program. My name is Cody Vasquez. I'm the Executive Director of CASA of the Sabine Natchez region. This is Tassie Farrell, and she is our Program Director. So when a child has been abused or neglected, they're usually placed in state care or foster care. Oftentimes they're removed from their home. This can be far away from their family, loved ones, and community. So CASA volunteers, or court-appointed special advocates, are everyday people from all walks of life who are recruited and specially trained to advocate for these children and provide a consistent, reliable adult presence for them during this difficult time in their life. Sometimes this is the only reliable, consistent adult presence they've had in their life. CASA volunteers are assigned to one child or sibling group, and they advocate for that child's best interest in court, in school, and in other settings. They get to know the child and everyone involved in their life, such as family members, foster parents, therapists, teachers, and so on, in order to develop a realistic picture of that child's unique situation. They make recommendations to the judge overseeing the child's case with the goal of ensuring that the child is safe and has the resources needed to heal. And we're very fortunate the judges in the counties that we serve really take a lot of stock into what our volunteers have to say, and they want to hear from them. So according to the Department of Family and Protective Services, there were 114 victims of abuse and neglect, and a total of 198 children in the Child Protective System in Jasper County alone. So locally, CASA of the Sabine Natchez region serves Orange, Jasper, Hardin, Newton, Sabine, and Tyler counties. And of those counties, they serve 325 of the 715 children. So April is Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month. There were 390 children left without a CASA last year. We're asking all the communities to consider stepping up to become a CASA volunteer. And I thank you for your time.
I'm just going to share real quick with you before you move on. Last year, I had a 15-year-old young lady who I was working with, and she wrote a poem of the 172 children that we lost year before, which actually put on my heart and led me to write one just as an experience as far as what the children experience on a daily basis. And it's called Stand. Today is what we're given, no other day will do. Yesterday is already gone, and tomorrow has not yet followed through. These children stand here waiting, hopeless, anxious, scared, angry, but open for someone like you. To stand and bear their burdens, like Jesus' living word tells us to. They've almost given up. The pain, the fear, the sadness, the anger is just too much. You must hurry. Yesterday is already gone. Today is all we have. And tomorrow has not yet followed through. Be their voice. Stand in their place. Share your hope. Share your space. The world they've always known is no more. The normal they once knew has shattered all around them. That's it. It's almost over. They're giving up. You must hurry. They're falling fast to the ground. You must be there to catch them, to stand in their place. Share your hope and love that saved you by grace. Yesterday is already gone. Today is now drawing to an end, and tomorrow is not promised. All children deserve our love, each and every day. So you must stand in their place, bear their burdens, hold their hand when they're scared, show them the way, the truth, the life, that guides us, that saves us through each lonely, angry, happy, and joyful day. Take a stand.
I have one more quick announcement. The entire month of April is Child Abuse Awareness Prevention Month. We do have 211 pinwheels and a memorial garden at the courthouse. And if you get a chance to drive by there, it really is something to see. April 28th is Go Blue Sunday, and that's a national call to local churches and congregations. We're asking them to wear blue to service that day, but most importantly, to pray for our children that are in the system, children that are still suffering abuse and neglect, maybe hasn't been reported, and those that work with the children. Thank you.
Thank you. I would commend to the council the SRMPA reports, the various departmental reports. We do have some folks here for public comments, but before we do that, Hazel, I'm going to ask you to understand you have a statement to make.
Stand up. Yes. You know, we often get so busy in our lives, you know, so involved with our own lives and back and forth to work, you know, traveling and our daily activities. We don't notice those in the city that make a difference. And we do have those that go out of their way to do community service and to make a difference in our city. This one person I'm speaking of, Brent, would you step up, please? Brent Moe. Brent, this is presented to you by me in appreciation for your outstanding and relentless efforts in enhancing the city of Jasper. Thank you for all you do.
Hear, hear.
I saw him raking leaves this weekend.
Brent, if you'd known you were going to be getting this, you'd have combed your hair with it.
Really good there, Gary. Come on, Brent. Brent, I'm with you, brother. Bring it all on, guys. Thank you very much.
All right, we do have some presenters on public comments. I will just remind each of those of you who are making comments that we are not entitled to make a response if one could or should be made. All we can do is say thank you very much as to whatever those comments might be, and we would ask that the presentations be no more than 3 minutes. So the first one, we have Ms. Laura Clark. And feel free to use the podium if you'd like.
I'm Laura Clark, and I represent the Texas Master Naturalist in the city and also generations of residents here. Sandy Creek Park in downtown Jasper is a symbol of our community. It's where residents and visitors walk together and play basketball every day. It's where we come together to celebrate the 4th of July and Christmas in the park. Well, sometimes the media will paint a picture of Jasper that's negative or divided. I believe that Sandy Creek Park and the events that happen there give a much more accurate portrayal of the community that we are. Approval of this expansion before us will serve to reaffirm who we are. When separation gets in our way, we build bridges, we build new paths, we build new places to meet and greet each other. The rich diversity of natural beauty in downtown Jasper is a reflection of the beauty in the hearts of our citizens. And our community deserves the expansion of this common ground where we can work and play and celebrate together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Chris Lanier.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Lanier with LRG here in Jasper, downtown, and I made some prepared statements, easier to get that from memory. In reference to supporting the park expansion, as the popularity of the legacy parks grow, most notably the Independence and the Christmas in the Park, so does the interest in attendance and the vendors that wish to be here. This generates conversations about the positives of Jasper. More visitors equal more local revenue in the form of restaurants, convenience stores, and potentially local shopping as the Main Street project encourages downtown businesses to cater to visitors. So while the downtown project is developing, so should the park, in my opinion. They go hand in hand in complementing an interest in spending time in Jasper. Just like any business project that concentrates on bringing in more activity, you need an anchor tenant and a prime location. This park, in my opinion, represents both. Lock it in and others will be attracted to follow suit. The more tenants the city can attract equals more city revenue. Finally, Jasper easily has a 60-mile radius from which to draw from for those seeking family and shopping entertainment. No offense to the local grocery stores and hardware store retailers. However, events and pleasures of the park will be the reason to spend time in Jasper, not just for essential needs. So I hope you'll support this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bramble.
Thanks again. I'm representing the Sandy Creek Park Committee and the National Park Service team that was put together in November. After the National Park Service granted Jasper a 2-year extension for their conservation project due to all the things in place that's going on with Sandy Creek. So we've started a survey, kind of a grassroots approach. Roughly 912 folks have and my job today is to give you some data. 912 folks have responded within the city limits, a little over 11% of the population. 42% have kids and or grandkids who've responded that use the park. 76% are under the age of 60. 68% use the park at least once a month, and over 34% use the park multiple times a week. 40% of the folks responded. The top 3 were picnic areas, children play areas, and trails, both paved and soft trails, which would be like woodland trails. And the number one most popular to date is an amphitheater performance stage type of setting, which we've got areas in the, are located areas within the park, potentially down the road in a different phase. So picnic areas, children play areas, and the amphitheater stage complement all the trails that we've already got in place. All of this requires obviously additional infrastructure, safe places, and handicap accessibility for our 24% of folks who responded that said trails and easy access to the trails and parking and quality restrooms would be part of their top 3 list. The survey, week 5 is out from Friday. There's 4 more weeks of the survey. We'll have probably roughly the same percentage of data, but respondents, we're trying to get to at least 1,000 folks, which will give us 13, 14, 15% of the folks responding to the survey, which is about 6% higher than most surveys are sent out. So people jumped on this pretty quick, and we've got a great grassroots approach to try to equal the playing field with the number of folks from all parts of our community being a part of the survey. A very user-friendly survey. The takeaways were the youth play a large need for our growth and development, and the youth have a large need for the opportunities that the park already presents itself, and the opportunity that the expansion would present for parking and additional type of services and amenities that they would be easily accessible to. The 24% of the folks over 60, their number one was enhanced trails, meaning paved trails. Well, that's already in the making. 2 miles of trails roughly have been laid. So commend the city for that and the expansion before we have this west expansion. The partnerships with Jedco, with Vallis, part of their large draw to our downtown area, not only was the financial infusion, but was the quality of life that they saw with Sandy Creek Park and its potential. They also saw some movement with the Main Street project and its potential to end up in the downtown area and its potential. So when I first moved to Jasper and I moved to downtown, it was the way it used to be. All this started. We all had all of our downtown businesses. We all played in the creek. Everybody enjoyed the downtown experience. Really, the Sandy Creek Park team is about preserving just a huge natural resource right through the middle of town. And as the prior folks mentioned, it's going to brand not only the community as a community, but brand us for tourism and marketing and potential economic development down the road. So I encourage the west expansion simply for this. It's not going to get less expensive. 4 years ago, we presented a bridge for the Arboretum to Jedco on their behalf for the expansion of this 7.5 acres. That bridge went from $40,000 for the actual bridge that was across here by Maine to over $350,000 after soil, expansion, infrastructure, and new construction that the city would have to take into. So 4 years ago, that bridge was $350 grand for one bridge. I'm not sure what the new project entails, but those type of things since Hurricane Harvey and the flood of 16 have caused everything at least 25 cents on the dollar to be more expensive. That's a burden you guys have to carry, unfortunately. But I think now's the time to leave a legacy, and I appreciate you letting us say this today. Thank you very much.
And I apologize on this, is it Frank?
Yes, sir.
Or it's,
My name is Frank Slosser. And I want to thank you, Mr. Mayor, and this council for allowing me to make short comments.
Sir.
I'm new to this community and trying to move in, and I must comment that your staff that you have of ladies that work in the permit department, the secretary, and the utilities are some of the finest people I've ever worked with in my entire life. The last time I looked in the mirror, I didn't see the word fool written across me, and your city inspector is a grade A #1 horses behind, and somebody I cannot work with and refuse to work with. Thank God everything that I needed done was done by the local plumber, and he did a fantastic job. It still cost me $433, but I got it done. And again, I want to compliment your great secretaries that work out there. They are an asset to the city of Jasper, and you're very lucky to have those wonderful ladies work for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to thank all the presenters who came forward and spoke this evening. We will now go forward with our called agenda items. Item number 1, consider approval of the minutes from the regular council meeting on March 18th, 2019.
I make a motion.
Have a motion and second for the approval of the council minutes from March 18th. Is there any discussion? Any questions? All in favor signify by the usual sign of voting. Motion carries unanimous. Also, I should comment, Mr. McMillan had told us prior to this evening that, in fact, several weeks ago, that he had to be in Austin this week, and that is why he is not here today. Item number 2, consider approval of Sandy Creek Park expansion project. Denise?
big project for us. It's an expensive project for us, but it's one that I feel, along with obviously quite a few others, that it's something that we need. When we first started looking at this project, it came in higher than what we expected. So a couple months ago, when we first got the bids back, and we agreed to table it until we were all able to go back and review the bids and review the options. Well, we've been able to do that. Our engineer is here with us tonight, Pat Oates, so if you have any questions for him, he'd be glad to answer them for you. We've gone back through and looked and see what areas that we could cut costs at, what areas that are important, and come up with 3 options, or no options. It's just whatever council wants to address. I don't know if, do you want to go ahead and put the screen up so that maybe we can go through and see?
And I've asked Denise to try to set up a projector to assist and hopefully enable everybody to see what we'll be talking about.
I'm Pat Oates, been in Lancaster Strong. If we had never met, I think I've met most of y'all. Appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. I believe in your package you've got 3 different alternatives that we looked at after reviewing the bids that were received. All of these were by the lowest price bidder as far as all the contractors that turned in bids. The first option is pretty much everything that was considered for the park expansion. Just to kind of go over kind of the more higher points of it, on that particular option, it included the largest amount of parking. You've got, if you look over here, you've got a parking lot. The smallest is over here off of West Houston Street, probably 150 feet or so back from the intersection with Marvin Hancock. You've got a parking area down here, almost straight across this right here is the walkway that's on the side of the lake at the existing park. You've also got a parking area here and one right here, as well as you've got walking trail and another bridge here and another foot crossing on Marvin Hancock and a foot crossing right here on Marvin Hancock. On this option, you have 3 pavilions. You have one here, if y'all can see where I'm pointing that. One here and one here. This is a real large playground right here. In order to separate people in the park from any traffic, you have one of those decorative chain link style fences that goes over here along Marvin Hancock. And you've also got access up here on the north end, and then another access right across from the pond. There's also 2 restrooms, one right up here on the north end, and a larger restroom kind of centrally located in the expansion. Both of these restroom buildings are heated and cooled. They're fully equipped restrooms, but they're going to be really nice public restrooms. They're going to be well insulated, and they also have one down here in the middle of the park. It has 12 different fixtures in that whole unit. There's 6 ladies, 6 men, along with changing tables for babies in both sides. And on the smaller one up here on this end, it has 3 facilities per side. Part of that bid, let me go to the end of this because part of that bid included a bridge right here. It's kind of hard to see on that picture. You may be able to see it better on your handout. That's like the extension of Zavala Street right there. There's Water Street right here, Main Street's right here. And you extend it kind of across from the Arboretum. This particular option 1 bid didn't just include the west side park, but it also included the addition of this pedestrian bridge right here. And one thing that we're gonna be able to do, or that you have the latitude to do, is depending on what the city council decides, there are things we looked at to reduce cost on any of these options that we're looking at. And that's something the city can do after they've done a contract award. But you're not really allowed in public bidding to adjust a contract amount until after it's been awarded. A second option, if you look here, let me go back to the first, you can pretty much see what went away. It's that parking area right over here, right in there. On the first option, you had 355 parking spaces total that were added to your current parking spaces at the park. This particular option is 277. It still has the 3 pavilions, the covered picnic areas, the playground, both restroom buildings. Both the first and second option have 3,200 feet of additional improved walking trails. Both also have the bridge on the west end over here, right in here. But this option does not include the bridge that I just showed y'all to the Arboretum. It would be without that particular bridge.
Which one was that?
Sorry?
Two.
Yes, sir, that would be the second option. The third option, let me switch back. You see the second there, and you can see this parking lot up off Houston Street. You see it go away. And see your bridge and walking path on the right-hand side over there, it goes away on this particular option. You still have parking right here in the middle of the park. You still have the same drive-through here. This particular option, you end up with 2 pavilions, one here and one here. You still have both restroom buildings. And you still, we thought it was advisable to leave the playground area in all 3 because it is a park. And, you know, that's a component that's important to any of these park layouts. So we left the playground areas in there as well as the restrooms. One thing, part of your price you see here, and I kind of highlighted it a little bit. I think you may be able to see it on yours better. Where I'm putting the pointer here, there's been a lot of erosion in Sandy Creek down here. And that particular area, it needs a lot of erosion type repairs. You've seen some of the work that the city has already done by putting the rock rubble, kind of a rock riprap along the creek. Well, that's kind of what this would be. That was almost $160,000 of the contractor's bid to provide in all 3 of these options. The kind of things that we looked at possibly change ordering out, regardless of which way y'all go, would be we could do something certainly different with the picnic areas. Right on the original plan up here, right here, your picnic areas are these small squares right here. There, you've got a few more here, and another one up here. And on the original plan, they had covers that were virtually identical to what's going to go on these pavilions. And then on the next option, we still had them covered on option 2. And on option 3, they're there, but they're just open. They don't have any covers.
If y'all were to see the traffic that comes to this area and that parking lot at lunch, there are so many people that work in town that don't have the option to go home. So they're driving up there and trying to find a spot, roll down their windows and eat in their car so that they can get a break from their offices. This park was about 90% full at all given time. Whether it was we had the buses for the kids just started coming in last Friday. So from this point on to the end of school, we will see buses from Hillester, Warren, Woodville, Kirbyville. Everybody comes up here and uses this park. these sidewalks and handicap areas that allow you to go to the pavilions. If you all notice these pavilions here, it is very hard for an elderly person to get down there, whether they be on a cane, a walker, a wheelchair, because the ground is unlevel. This will give them an opportunity to drive right up to one of the handicap spots, get out of their vehicle, and get on a surface that they can get safely and enjoy whether they're watching a grandchild or having a family reunion in these pavilions. Karen can attest the fact that our pavilions are a big seller. All of our parks are. She's the one that takes the reservations for family reunions to birthday parties, and people are very thankful that they have the opportunity to partake and enjoy these. This is not going to take away from any of the everyday operations from the city of Jasper. The street crews will continue to repair streets, pave streets, water and sewer. This is not something that the city will do. Not to say the city, some of the departments might not go in and do their part or help in some of the site prep or whatever, but it will not take away from day-to-day city operations, nor will it raise our taxes, nor will it raise our utilities. But this is something also, y'all may have noticed that we have put some gate fences across our bathrooms. Sad to say, regardless of what times we live in, we still have people that are vandalizing our restrooms, and then we have some of them that are using them for homes, which, as sad as it is that we do have the homeless, the destruction that our bathrooms come in, it's just hard for someone to live in, besides the fact of scaring the devil out of somebody when they don't know somebody's in there and they walk in and they have somebody there. Right now, our police department has been kind enough to offer to them, they will lock the bathrooms around 11 at night, which that's normally what our park closes, and unlock them around 5 in the morning before their 6 o'clock shift ends. And we have done lots of trying to do a little facelift on all of them with the painting and the fixtures and stuff like that. I won't bore you and I won't horrify you and tell you what kind of damage that can be done to these bathrooms on a weekend basis. I don't know. I would think that they would have something else to do, but they don't. And it's expensive and it's costly to repair them. Besides the fact, it's embarrassing for somebody to walk in there to use the facility, and this happened before we have an opportunity to get in there. We left anything out that y'all might see?
You were talking about some of these things that you're going to be able to cut costs after the project. Do you have anything definitive there? Yes, sir. Let me go back to this slide up here. One thing we've looked at on your pavilions, for example, which would be here, here, and here. Our original specifications call for a standing seam roof for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's more sturdy and it's a little more weatherproof. It also has hidden fasteners, so when you're inside the pavilion, it's more aesthetic. But when you're inside the pavilion, you don't see holes in it as far as fasteners coming through like you do with a regular R-panel roof, like a shed. If you did go back, you could save a little bit of money on that for starters. You also could do something different with your picnic areas, the pre-made picnic areas. Those could be done either later or without roof. You've also got your parking areas, which
The one on the left-hand side, the far one,
Yes.
by tidbits, we had talked about
right,
leaving that off.
this one right here. Actually, you could do a kind of a hybrid of what I've got up here. You could take that one and get rid of the parking lot right there on Houston. But what I came up with, utilizing the bids, there's about $500,000 that can be taken out.
On all three?
Well, on the first option, around $500,000 or so. your third option right here, it was around 300,000 that you could take out of it.
Where's the money? Question, where's the money coming from? It's coming 100% from the city?
Yes, at this point it will. Now, if we go down through and once we get, there's some possibilities, some other grants for the park services, but it's down the line after you get something established where they can come back in and help.
It's not guaranteed.
No.
And you couldn't have those savings on each one of these, it wouldn't be equal.
Well, what the savings that you get off of each one of these, you start out with the highest number of the three right here, and you actually start, what we did, we cut out certain integral pieces to the original design, which was on this one, was everything that was bid on option one. And then when you go to two, that did not include the bridge down at the Arboretum, which was about $119,000 savings. So one of those pre-made footbridges like you have now. And of the three different bidders we got, the low bid for that bridge was $119,000. The high bid was $120,000. So they were all bidding the same basic bridge, I really believe. They were very close. But typically, when you look at this type of project, most of your cost after you've done your pavilions and restroom buildings, most of your costs are incurred when you start getting into the parking, because paving is just more expensive than most of the facilities you can put in. But I think that probably one of the better savings options was to get rid of the parking space over here on West Houston, right there.
So you predict that this expansion will bring economic growth? Is it a guarantee, or are we just predicting it?
I can't guarantee anything. I believe with all my heart that this will increase our traffic flow with the city or with the, this is one thing, regardless of what age you are, or what you do for a living, what your passions are, or what your hobbies are. If you choose to enjoy that park, you can enjoy that park. It's accessible. It gives you the options that, from the playground to the family functions. Yes, we've had lots of other opportunities to have other festivals. We're out of room. We've asked for a big car show, a big truck show, and we can't accommodate them. Now, did I turn away? I turned away 142 vendors last year for Christmas in the park. That may not mean a lot to y'all, but it is to me when I get every one of those phone calls that people, because most of those vendors were out of town that came back in. Same thing on Beverly with the Azalea Festival. People like to come to Jasper. They like our park, they like our city. And we just want to be able to offer our residents and citizens, along with anybody that like to come in, the best that we have to offer. It is one of our greatest assets.
May I ask a question, Gary, can I?
Sure.
Go to option number one. This right here, if we use this parking lot, you've got them crossing this ditch area right
Yes, sir.
here, is that
That's a
correct?
bridge.
That's
Or
it.
the bridge
We have
that
a
go,
fence.
pardon me?
We will have, in front of that drain right there,
Yeah,
there will be a solid fence.
well, this would be a ditch, so people coming in would be here instead of going down Houston Street and coming
Right,
over.
That's correct.
Right.
That, I'm just kind of concerned at the amount of parking space you have here, and they would be using this area to cross over a small ditch area, is that correct?
But it would be a,
It would be it would
Bridge.
actually be a short version of what you currently have in the park now.
like one of the smaller ones.
I get it.
Right.
Well, may I say, go ahead, Sean.
No, you have it, you go ahead.
I personally don't like to do anything in phases because it ends up costing more money when you do things in phases. Well, I guess it's too soon to make them unless somebody else has a...
No, I'm just saying, if it's 100% on us, and we're talking about 2.7 million, the lowest is what? almost 2 million, 1.9, 100%, no, I'm saying 100% on the city. And, Mr. Britt said only 11% out of the actual population has said something. It's 89% without, they haven't said anything. So with that, that's like, I mean, if we had like a help, a grant or something to take that cushion away, I understand, but 100% on us, and only 11% of the population have said something, I think that we need to hear more from the people.
I disagree, however, that's your opinion. I think we have put this off long enough. I think, you know, this has been going on for years, and like I said, in the long run, it's gonna cost us more money. So I'm gonna make a motion to accept option 1. Let's finish it. Therefore, after it is finished, all we'll have is maintenance on this part. This has gone on long enough, and that is my motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for the acceptance of option 1.
Mr. Mayor, who was that second?
Mr. Schofield. Are there any other questions or comments, Brandon?
No, I'm good.
I'll say, just going down the line here, I visited with Denise for a little over an hour this morning about all this, where I would know the pros and cons of these. Of the amount of money, whether it's 1, 2, or 3 that is accepted, if any, it's my understanding we have 600,000 already in the coffers to go towards this. So as far as new money, it would be somewhere between 1.3 if we're at option 3, or about 1.1 if we were at option 1. 2.1, I'm sorry. Also, Denise and I were talking about the 8 pavilions. You have one up there, yes. There are 8 little picnic table, open picnic areas that, as I understand, are allocated about $50,000.
I was incorrect on that one. That was the big one. The little ones are about 25.
About 25, okay. We feel like we can save some money.
Those were originally, according to, they were to mimic, the design on them was to mimic the big ones. So if we, I mean, we're talking about from the decorative rock base to the roofs. So if we went back with the standard picnic area, I mean, I don't care really what it looks like. When I'm wanting a picnic, I'm wanting to get out of my car and have a place to sit outside, at least out of the sun. Whether or not I look up and see the roof and it's got nails, great if we had the money, but we don't. That's not the purpose of what my intention was for these picnic areas.
Also, as I understand, the potential of deleting the parking area nearest Marvin Hancock, it was under option 3.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Because it's still up in the air, even if we accept under option 1. We still have the little niche you'll see in the top left-hand corner where the tidbit store is. And we really need to know, and we should know in the near future what's going to happen there. But
I think it's going to go up for taxes.
right, I know it is, but we don't know if we're going to get it or someone else does. Those are just some of the things from talking with Denise this morning that I want to point out.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
the only concern that I have is like on option 1, where we're talking about the bridge going over into Arbor Reef. It looks to me as if it's so far up and kind of out of you have a lot, like you say, a lot of people there and children that's crossing that bridge, because we say it's going to be a smaller bridge. I mean, that's
No, it should be identical to the, I've got
would
a
it
call
be
out
like this
here.
bridge here?
Yeah, the one on the Arboretum right here
Yeah.
is virtually a duplicate of this bridge right here on Main Street.
Okay.
that will tie, that, the master gardeners and stuff have been trying to do this, like I said, for several years on that. But that, by allowing that bridge to become part of it, it will tie our Main Street program in, to our master gardeners, to our butterfly, to Miss Debney's Serenity Garden. It'll just make a big complete circle that will tie it all, even into our Main Street and our Water Street program. It's something, I mean, it'll be, like you said, it'll be a nice, safe bridge, but I think it'll be a really good asset for that end of the park, for the people that maybe necessarily haven't ever explored that side, to go see the gardens and the greenhouse, butterfly garden.
Lot of effort has gone into that.
Yes.
Well, I concur with what Hazel has said. Tommy, do you have any additional comment?
I do not.
Rashad, anything else?
It looks like that's me on my information.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by the usual sign of voting. 3 all opposed. We have 3 for and 1 opposed. Motion carries.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank y'all for the good present.
All right. Action item number 3, consider approval of JEDCO members selected by the council.
So we
Second.
Have a motion and second for the approval of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
Question,
name.
before we move, I have a question. No, I have a question. I guess my question would be to Ms. Denise. I see that your name is on the approval. I guess, can you tell me how many committees that you sit on already?
I sit on the city manager's committee, I sit on the violator of the SMRPA board, and when needed on the chamber committee.
I guess my question would be, I guess, to Mr. Ratcliffe. If she's on the JEDCO board, would there be a conflict of interest, her being on the other board?
No, unless they were donating money to the city, you know, and she might have to abstain from any voting concerning donations, but, no. No. It's just like sitting on the SRMTA board.
did,
Yeah, no.
I was just making sure because she represents the city, and I know JEDCO is, you know, another entity of the city.
Well, they're independent.
Yeah.
They're independent. But part of their bylaws provide that the council must select individuals they feel like should represent the community. And certainly, the city manager would be a vital part to city government management, investments, information for JEDCO when they're contributing to the Jasper community.
Especially since the city and JEDCO united.
He's on the JEDCO board too, represent the city.
I was reported to the city council.
See, that's a classic example right there. But no, there is not.
Before we adjourn, can I say something about the child?
Yes. Wait, let's finish with
That's,
this.
you know,
All right, we have any other questions? All right, if not, all in favor of the approval of these 4 stated, you signify by the usual sign of voting. 4. It's unanimous, motion carries. Right?
Yeah. Just for those of you that are not aware, our Jasper County Child Welfare Board, we have a very small board. We could use some volunteers, but I'd like to tell you this. We work hand in hand with the CASA and the Sheriff's Office in taking and going and removing all of these children. These peace officers are working day in and day out. The Jasper County Child Welfare Board, we furnish all car seats, diapers, clothing, bedding, everything that a child will need whenever they take him from a house that's not fit for them to be in. With that being said, we appreciate CASA, and we appreciate the donations that we get from citizens and from the county and from different organizations, more especially the churches. In the future, we would ask that if you would support us, Wednesday, we have our annual cake auction. We normally have something in the neighborhood of 20 cakes. That don't mean we can't have 30. Last year, believe it or not, the Houston Banditos bought a cake. Come on. Hey, it goes, that's our biggest fundraiser. It helps us supply the Rainbow Room. That's where we keep everything stored that we've got to have. From every size of diaper, little clothes, little everything. I mean, we just got it all there for those children, and it gets very expensive. And with that being said, we're here to help these children because not one of them has to be brought into this world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Well, I believe that concludes our agenda. I want to thank everyone for being here today. I'll conclude by saying and wishing good luck to all candidates in your respective positions on the upcoming election, and we'll stand adjourned. Thank you.